Tonight, I'm honored to be joined by the Foreign Minister of Morocco, His Excellency Naaser Boureita, whose country has a deep history with the United States, a rich Jewish history, and a fascinating, albeit quiet history with Israel. Minister Boureita, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And let me start by saying Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Betsy, for the invitation and for this opportunity to exchange with you. Thank you also, and Ramadan Mubarak to all those who are fasting.
So Morocco is a country of great interest to many of our members, and many have ties with Morocco. Can you talk to us a little bit about the historic ties of Morocco and the Jewish community, both in Morocco and in Israel?
I wonder if we can talk about Morocco and the Jewish community as separate bodies, because they are one community. The Jewish population has lived in Morocco for centuries. They are part of the Moroccan population. They have nourished and enriched the Moroccan identity. And that's why our constitution may be the only one in the Arab and Islamic world which is mentioning the Jewish component as an important component of the Moroccan identity. This relation is also about a relation between the Jewish community and the Moroccan monarchs, a very long history, back to the 15th century when the Jewish community was expelled from Andalusia. They were welcomed in Morocco. Late King Mohammed V rejected the anti-Semitic laws of the Vichy regime and refused to hand over the Moroccan Jewish community to the Nazi regime. He said, if you take them, take my sons also. And today, His Majesty the King Mohammed VI is doing a lot also to preserve this legacy. His Majesty ordered also the renovation of almost 170 cemeteries and holy sites in Morocco, and more than almost 20 synagogues have been restored. Today in our school curricula, the reference to the Jewish components of the Moroccan history is there, and which is a unique fact in the Arab and Islamic world. And Morocco is the only Arab and Islamic country with Jewish communities still living here, with its synagogues, with its tribunals, with its all its structures as normal components of the Moroccan identity and the Moroccan people. So that's why this relation is very particular. It's unique in the Arab world, and it has been safeguarded by the commitments of the kings of Morocco, but also the willingness of the Moroccan people.
Thank you for that explanation. I think that's really important for not just our members, but for everyone to understand. Morocco also has relations with Israel. Can you describe to us a little bit about, in December, the decision to enhance this relationship with Israel?
To understand the relation with Israel, you should link it to the relation with the Jewish community. It's for Morocco, that was a normal relation. We had contacts for years. We had formal relations in 1994, and people-to-people relation was kept. Of course, there was a break in the formal diplomatic relations for some years, but the contacts with Israel didn't stop. As His Majesty King Mohammed VI said, this decision of Morocco in December is not an opportunistic decision. It's a decision of conviction, and it is a natural decision because of these ties and because of the involvement, the historical involvement of Morocco in peace.
This is it's a very exciting time, and if you can just give us an idea of some ways now that we're in this moment to strengthen the interaction between the two peoples.
After the 10th of December, where the declaration of restoring the relations was made, there was an agreement, a trilateral agreement signed some days after. between Morocco, Israel, and the United States. And this document, a legally binding document, has different components. A recognition by the United States of Moroccan sovereignty over the Sahara, commitment by Morocco to develop the relations with Israel, and a commitment by Israel also to engage in a deep cooperation with the Kingdom of Morocco. Since that moment, we have taken concrete steps to translate into facts this declaration. The liaison offices have been opened in Rabat and in Tel Aviv, and they are working normally today with diplomats. We have established also 8 working groups on diplomacy, security, water, agriculture, tourism, etc., where we need to deepen the cooperation. So we have today all the tools for cooperation. We have also the political willingness. I hope very soon we will exchange high-level visits. The sky is the only limit. And we are, as His Majesty said, Morocco is sincere in this commitment. And as it is a decision of conviction, we will go as far as possible in developing the bilateral cooperation for the benefit of the two people and for the benefit of the region also.
It really does sound like the sky's the limit. That's fantastic. So you mentioned a trilateral relationship between U.S., Israel, and Morocco. So I just want to talk about the U.S. for a second. Many people might not know that the U.S. and Morocco signed a treaty of peace and friendship in 1786. So can you tell us a little bit about the U.S. and Morocco relationship now?
We have a strong political component through a strategic dialogue. We have a military commission to coordinate. We are the only African country to have an FTA, a free trade agreement with the United States. We are a non-NATO ally of the United States since 2004. And we have a very counter-terrorism and military component. So the relation is deeply rooted, the relation is adapted. Today we can work also on climate change, we can work on developing Africa, and we can work for promoting peace, including in the Middle East.
Morocco cut off ties with Iran in 2018 because of Hezbollah activity in Morocco. At AIPAC, we're very focused on Iran and its surrogates and the threats to not just this region, but to the entire world. So what is Morocco doing about the activity with Iran and its surrogates, and how do you see working with friends like the U.S. and Israel to combat that threatening activity?
So the threat is the same, and we need to coordinate. We need to work as allies to face these threats. Maybe people know more about Iran nuclear activities, but Iran is also acting through proxies to destabilize North Africa and West Africa. Iran has been threatening Moroccan territorial integrity and its security by supporting Polisario, by giving arms to Polisario, and by training Polisario militia to attack Morocco. Iran is also spreading through the Hezbollah its activities in West Africa. And today we are still vigilant to the threats Iran is presenting to our security and to the security of the Moroccan people. As you know, the Sahara issue is crucial for Morocco. Its territorial integrity is the key of the stability of this country. All those who are trying to destabilize Morocco are using the Sahara issue as a tool. And Iran, Hezbollah, and Polisario are doing the same. So that's why it's very important also, while giving attention to the to what Iran is doing in its nuclear program or in acting against some of its neighbor, to pay attention to what Iran is doing to other allies of the United States in this area of the world.
So Morocco took a real leadership role among Arab states in normalizing relations with Israel. How do you see Morocco moving forward and maybe inspiring other Arab countries to also normalize relations with Israel?
We think that the regional dynamic is very important. Regional stability is very important, even for promoting peace between Israel and Palestine. Morocco has had a pioneer role in the Middle East process, and Morocco is ready today also to contribute to that.
Thank you, Minister. That is inspiring, and it has been a pleasure and an honor speaking with you. And as I mentioned earlier, before the call, I really look forward to coming to visit in person.
Thank you. I take it as a commitment to come very soon to visit us here in Morocco. You will be most welcome. Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you, BT.